Okay. Hey guys, today I wanted to do something that is like drastically different from what the rest of my vlogs have been. But while I was in Japan, we all had the opportunity to go to Hiroshima, and it's not in my Japan vlog like at all because I just felt really weird. It didn't feel right to vlog or take pictures of any of it. So I just kind of I don't have very much documentation of it, but I did get the chance to like write a reflection of how I was feeling in my notes app on my phone, like when I got outside of the museum of the atomic bomb. And my phone broke and I thought I lost it, but I have been in the process of trying to recover data from my phone and I finally got it back. Um, so the point is, I've had it all like bottled up in my head and I thought I lost it. And when I got it back, I've been writing it down in my journal, and it's just been kind of on my mind. And I figured since you guys have, kind of gone with me through this whole journey, and this is a really important, if not one of the most important parts of my journey, um, that I think I don't know, I wanted to share it with you guys because I just feel like it's really important. Um, So yeah, I wrote this when I got outside of the museum, and I would like to preface it and say that it's not like an easy topic to talk about, and there's a lot of hard things that I wrote. So I just want to make sure that everyone knew that before I start reading it, because it's hard for me to even read. Okay. When we got off the train today, I was excited to be arriving in a new place in Japan. However, a strange sense of sadness began to come over me the more we walked through Hiroshima. I had no idea why I was feeling sad, but I had a strong urge to let myself stop and just feel the sadness. To let it take over and just run its course. I knew that Hiroshima was the city leveled by the atomic bomb, but it didn't connect in my brain that that's where we were. Before I knew it, we came across a small plaque that explained approximately 600 meters above was where the atomic bomb had exploded, the hypocenter. The sadness I was feeling heightened, and I felt worse, disassociating from what I was experiencing. It was a grave feeling to think about how so many lives had been lost all around me, and that right above me was where the horrible tragedy had originated. We continued on until we reached a dome structure in ruins. The structure was originally a place of meeting for the Hiroshima government, and after much controversy on whether or not to keep it as a marker and reminder of the horror nuclear weapons exude, or to tear it down, it was turned into a peace memorial. The ruins were preserved as a plea to never again allow such horror. I stood there for quite some time, and it felt surreal. I wanted to shut my eyes and walk away, but I forced myself to stare at the remains. At the museum, I braced myself for what I was about to see, and it wasn't enough. I don't think I've ever experienced such heartache at the loss of humanity as I did in this museum. To walk through, read, and see the tragic recollections of so many was almost unbearable. I walked through the stages of the bombings. Testimonies from survivors, their families, and those who aided in caring for the survivors were on display. The feeling of shock and overwhelming sadness intensified the further I got into the exhibit. The dark lighting in the museum only aided to the horrible feeling in my gut. The rooms displayed everything, from warped metal to tattered remains of clothing. The place where my first tears fell was a display case of a warped tricycle. It belonged to a little boy who died in the bombing. He wrote it all the time, and the testimony of his father said that he was writing it when the atomic bomb went off. They found what was left of him by the bike. His father buried him with the bike so that he could ride it even in death. Tears fell, making it harder and harder to read each display case after the other. I couldn't contemplate the awful, gutting stories and the things I was seeing. I didn't want to contemplate it. The story of In and how he never really recovered, traumatized to the point of trying to kill himself and his family to ease the pain of losing his wife, was particularly brutal to read. He suffered so many years in the aftermath of the bombing, starved, depressed, distraught with grief, only to be told that he was mental because they couldn't find physical source for his pain. He died with no cure, razor cuts of self-harm littering his body. Still, hundreds of thousands of people share equally horrible memories and injuries, all because of the bombing. I cried the whole way through, and I sit now right outside of the exit, trying to document a whirlwind of emotions. The gravity of what happened to Hiroshima is awful. I can readily say that events like this should never come to pass in our world. No situation should ever call for this. The damage is irreversible and inhumane. It makes me question so much. The overall why that haunts me is indescribable. Why did so many innocent humans have to die in such a tragic manner? Why was an atomic bomb ever invented? My faith in humanity fades because of points in time like this. What do I even do with how I feel right now? The only thing I find some ounce of comfort in is what this museum stands for: peace. Unfathomable to me is the character of the Japanese people. To create a monument that wishes only for peace, with the sole purpose of trying to prevent an atomic bomb from ever happening again, is a beautiful, humbling concept. After seeing this, I wholeheartedly agree. I don't see a way that God could ever be okay with this type of brutality against humanity, and I don't see how morality could advocate for such a thing. This experience has made me realize once again how important it is to keep trying to make the world a better place, to learn from our mistakes, and to treasure the time I have with loved ones, to treasure people. You never know the impact decisions will have on those around you in the moment and for years to come. So, considering all this, I'm going to strive to choose love. Choose love. In all aspects, displaying love to others is the best way to navigate through life. Why choose violence when you can choose to love? I think if more people would choose to love above all else, so many events like what happened in Hiroshima would never have come to be. In choosing love, so many irreversible, painful moments in history and in times to come would not only be erased, but they would instead be replaced with beautiful examples of God and humanity. So choose love.